And now it is my sincere pleasure and honor to introduce our featured speaker for the morning. Nathan Button. Nice to meet you, Nathan Button. Nathan Butler is a special guest, as he is just completing the phase of life after us here at Leavenworth High School. Nathan is special, well, for so many reasons, but partly because he comes from a wonderful military family, dual military, in fact. Yet he has traveled the world, and we call him a Leavenworth citizen. He pretty much grew up here in Leavenworth on Kansas Street. He started school with us in kindergarten at Howard Wilson Elementary School with Mrs. Ann Miller. And he graduated in 2013 from Leavenworth High School. I know Nathan well. He is like my bonus child. The Butlers live next door to my family, and over the years, we have shared many joys and celebrations together. We've picked up numerous chins from dragging the ground after various disappointments, and we've eaten quite a healthy number of Dairy Queen birthday cakes together over the years. Nathan has always been one of the most larger-than-life young people I've known. He literally commands a room when he enters. He is involved in everything under the sun. He is bright beyond words, yet has a beautiful humility that allows him to be adored by many. Though his bio might be shorter than some featured speakers from past years, Nathan comes to us full of amazing experiences that we played but a small part in launching. I'm so excited to have him here with us this morning so that you all can hear some of the successes, the journey, and the incredibly bright future of one of our recent graduates. Please help me welcome Nathan Butler to the podium.
This real quick. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here. Special thanks to Mrs. Edwards, my bonus mom, or as I've called her for the last 17 years, Miss Katie. Thank you to my parents for flying me out. I'm not sure I could have afforded that, so thank you. And of course, thank you to the wrestling team for being here. Appreciate you guys getting up in the morning when it's off season, so I understand that's not fun, but I appreciate it. So when Miss Katie approached me about coming to speak, I was thrilled and admittedly a little nervous. Thankfully, this isn't my first speech in front of a big crowd here at Leavenworth. It's my second. The last time I gave a speech like this was 5 years ago at my high school graduation. To grab everyone's attention, I taped $5 underneath a random chair, and that went over really well. But then I went away for 5 years and went to college, and now I'm a broke college kid, so sorry, I'm not giving away any money this morning. Today I want to tell you a little bit about my journey, about college, about Leavenworth High School, and about this Leavenworth community. As Ms. Katie pointed out, my family is military, and that's a pretty common statement around here. But I was lucky enough to have, for the most part, grown up in USD 453. I first moved here in 2000, where I went to kindergarten and first grade over at Howard Wilson. Then we moved away and came back 3 years later for 5th and 6th grade, and then moved away one final time before my parents retired, and we came back here just as I was entering high school. Now, for those of you who know my family, have interacted with my mom or dad, or had the unfortunate circumstance of having my little brother in class, might have figured out that my family might be the most competitive family out there. If we are putting away the dishes, we do it in a time limit. If someone goes on a run, they have to report how many roadkills they got. That means how many people we passed. If the whole family's going to a movie, we race to take the quickest shower, which I don't know about the hygiene of that, but I don't know. My dad usually wins. I could keep going, but I think you get the idea. Overall, growing up, my family did a lot of things with a competitive, goal-oriented mindset. Because of this, I started setting goals from an early age, and my journey through Leavenworth High School to Stanford can really be summarized through my goals along the way. The first goal that I consciously set for myself and worked to achieve came because of my 5th grade presidential fitness test. In 5th grade, I was a little chubby and I was a little self-conscious about it. I did well on all the tests except for one, pull-ups. I couldn't do a pull-up and never had. It was a little embarrassing for me, so I decided I was going to get strong enough to do one. My parents bought me some free weights and my dad built me a pull-up bar in the garage. I would wake up before school 3 times a week and do a weight program that my dad worked up for me. It took me a few months of constant work, but one morning at 5:30 a.m., I tried again, and I got it. Then I got another one, 2 pull-ups. I had never been so pumped in my life. I let out a shout of triumph, which I'm sure everyone really appreciated at 5:30, and I did a little lap around the garage. Now, I brought a slideshow along. I don't know if it's up and playing quite yet. It's getting there. I brought a slideshow along to show you guys some pictures along the way, and I wanted to show that here's proof that I did do that pull-up, in case you guys didn't believe me. And so began my love affair with goal setting. While it sounds crazy, setting goals and striving to achieve them has become almost an addiction. It's a driving force for pretty much everything I do. Now, a defining part of my life so far has been the sport of wrestling. Right as I was going into high school, there was a very good college wrestler named Kyle Dake. Every day, Kyle Dake would write down that he was going to be an NCAA champion, and he was. In fact, he ended up winning 4 NCAA championships. So I took a page out of his book and I wrote down my goals on my mirror in my room so that I looked at them every single day. I don't want to drop that, sorry. That day I wrote down 3 goals. The first was to be a high school wrestling state placer. The second was to be the high school 189-pound starter. And the third was to get into National Honor Society. That year, that year I was able to get all 3. And so I started my tradition that I've had ever since. Every time I would get done with a goal, I crossed it out and I wrote a new one. For me though, high school was defined by just one of these goals. That summer after my freshman year was the first time that I went to Stanford University. I was going there for a leadership camp, but we came out a day early to see my cousin, who was a freshman there at the time. Unbeknownst to me, she was dating a well-known wrestler, Ryan Mango, who was also at Stanford. As a backstory, when I was in middle school, I lived in Missouri. Ryan, where Ryan is from. Ryan was the #1 high school wrestler in the country. Every middle schooler in the state wanted to be him. He was everyone's idol. That day that we met Tierney, she brought Ryan along, and I got to ride in the car as we toured campus. I was stoked. Here was 15-year-old Nathan driving onto arguably the most beautiful campus in the world, listening to Magic by B.O.B. with Ryan freaking Mango in the front seat. It took me about 30 seconds to decide that this is where I wanted to be. When I got home, the first thing I did was write "Get accepted to Stanford University" as my next goal. When I think about it now, everything I did in high school was working towards Stanford. Of course, I did a lot of it for interest, but that goal was always in the back of my mind. I took more AP classes than I would have, did a ridiculous amount of ACT prep work, joined every club that I could, and generally did everything I could to make my application look good. Wrestling-wise, I took every opportunity to train with better partners, get extra work, or go to national level tournaments. This drive did keep me pretty busy, and I can't say that I had the best social life in high school, but it all paid off when at 6:30 a.m. on a Monday morning in September my senior year, as I stood in line for airport security after my official visit to Stanford, the Stanford wrestling coach called me and told me I'd been accepted. Now, I'm not sure if anyone here has seen an 18-year-old, 250-pound kid break down and cry in an airport. I haven't either, but I was close. And so I started at Stanford in 2013. Stanford is undoubtedly an incredible place, full of many of the country's best and brightest. It has the best academics and athletics of any school in the country. The students there are pretty ridiculous. In my freshman dorm alone, there was a kid who had already designed artificial intelligence and unmanned aircraft for the Indian government, a girl who had already danced on Broadway, and one of the world's leading experts on the cowfish. She's got like a 10-part YouTube series. You can go check it out. It's pretty awesome. One of my friends helped make the Affordable Care Act, and my current roommate beat Michael Phelps at a swim meet one time. I had a religious studies section that had a combined 11 Olympic medals and a kid that was drafted first round to the NFL. I sat right next to Katie Ledecky, if any of you know who that is. I've also gotten to learn from some of the greatest minds in the world. My advisor was the one who made the like button for Facebook. I took a class called Sleeping Dreams with the guy who discovered REM sleep. I had a professor cancel class one week because he got called to the White House to advise the president. In short, at Stanford, I was surrounded by all these incredible people. If anything, this inspired me to want to achieve more. So I raised my goals. And most of my goals, and in fact, most of my Stanford career revolved around wrestling. Instead of just being a starter, my goal was now to be the NCAA champion. And competing at the D1 level, there definitely was a learning curve at first, and quite frankly, I got my butt kicked quite a bit my freshman year. But I eventually figured it out. I learned to live the right way too. I tried to eat the right way, sleep the right way, and train the right way. Wrestling basically consumed and ran my life in the best of ways. And it took me far. I got the chance to wear the Cardinal singlet in 18 different states. I went to Spain and Brazil, all to wrestle. I made some of my best friends on the team and found a family in Stanford wrestling, just like I found one here at Leavenworth. I can't think about Stanford without thinking about wrestling. But that's not all I did. I did other things when I was at Stanford. My freshman year, I was the birthday fairy in our freshman dorm, which meant I was in charge of picking people up on their birthday at midnight, and I would throw them in the shower, and then we turn it on and shower them for their birthday. I was a tour guide for 3 years, so I learned just about all there is to know about Stanford. So if you want any fun facts, just ask me. I've taken a wide range of classes, from a class on religious artifacts to natural language processing with deep learning. Majoring in computer science, my focus specifically has been on artificial intelligence and system and network security. I've gotten some real-world experience as well. I got a chance to intern for Bloomberg in New York one summer, and for Apple as part of their software, or as part of their information security division another. Next year, I will be working full-time as a software engineer at Facebook at their headquarters in Menlo Park. Now, I know that there's been a lot of weird stuff with Facebook lately. Don't worry, I'm not looking at anyone's data. However, it wasn't always so great. There was a lot of struggle. The academic rigor made for a lot of long nights and not many free weekends. And having lofty aspirations doesn't come without a toll. Part of the way through my junior year, I stopped having fun altogether. I dreaded walking into the wrestling room every day, and I let my grades slip. I lost sight of my goals and became complacent, content just to ride out the rest of my Stanford career. But before this last year, I decided to make a change. And while I kept the same overall goal of being an NCAA champion, I reframed my intermediate goals. Instead of focusing on being the best, having great stats, or winning matches, my goals became leave no regrets, wrestle to the best of my ability, and most importantly, have fun. I started to enjoy wrestling again. I got better grades, and I wrestled the best that I ever have. But in the end, I fell short of my goal. I was not an NCAA champion. In fact, I wasn't an All-American. But I reached my intermediate goals, and as a result, I walked away with no regrets. Looking back, never before have I noticed what a dramatic effect my goals had on me. By simply reframing my intermediate goals, I changed my outlook on life and consequently everything about it. So when Mrs. Katie asked me to give this talk, framing my journey in terms of my goals only seemed natural. So now I'm at a transition point. In a few months, I finished college and joined the workforce. As I reflect on where I've been and where I'm going, I recognize that I did not accomplish anything alone. I had help and support from incredible mentors and teachers along the way. And even though at Stanford, I've gotten to learn from some of the greatest minds in academia and had some of the best wrestlers of all time as coaches, none have showed the support and genuine interest that the teachers right here in LHS did. No professor texts me to tell me good job on a win like Liz Anstein does or Justin Bodie does. I've never had an advisor drive hours to come and watch me wrestle like the late Tank Foreman did for me. No Stanford faculty has messaged me to ask how an internship is going like Coach Johnston, or asked how I am liking my college-level physics course like Mr. Wentz. Taking that level of interest in a student, to me, is much more inspirational and impactful than any amount of research ever could be. The teachers here were the light posts along my path. They helped me keep going. People say hindsight is 20/20, but I never realized how much LHS helped propel me towards where I wanted to be. But none of this would have existed or be possible if it weren't for the people who support it. If the teachers were the light posts, you, the donors, are the bridge. I would never have gotten to follow my dreams wrestling if we didn't have the wrestling room. I wouldn't have gotten to practice for the ACT if it wasn't for programs like TRIO, or gotten business experience for interviews if it wasn't for DECA. In short, you are the reason I even had the ability to get from where I was to where I wanted to be. And this isn't just true for me, it's true for many others too. Take Daquan Blake, for instance. He graduated in 2013 with me. This picture is him holding and kissing the NCAA Division I AA Football National Championship trophy that he won this year as part of the North Carolina A&T football team. Of course, he wasn't always great at football. In fact, he got to start with me on the Riley Sharks in 5th grade. Unfortunately, Mr. Riley, we weren't very good, and we kept losing to Geiger, of all teams. It took us a little bit of time to develop, but I know this is where he learned his love for the football. In high school, he had to watch his sister during practice, so the coaches and program allowed him to bring his sister along. Daquan now has a college degree, in a big part because of his ability to follow his dream growing up here in Leavenworth. This has been Schatzel. Last year I ran into Ben in the gym on post. In high school, Ben was part of the drama club. He was really into acting. Today, I don't know if you can see this, Ben is a professional actor. And he starred in a couple different productions. You can look him up on IMDb. He's got plenty of YouTube videos. But I guarantee you he wouldn't have got into acting if it wasn't for the drama club here. Another classmate of mine, Leah McEnroe, after originally being one of the main students who helped open and manage the school store, now has already managed 3 different retail stores. Christina Dominique was part of our junior and senior class cabinet, now applies these same planning skills to her career in venue management. I could keep going, but the point is that even though all these people came from very different and diverse backgrounds, all came to LHS where they grew their passion for what they love and programs provided by you. And regardless if they know it or not, you provided the bridge for them to get where they were going, even if they didn't know where that was at the time. I'm not sure how many people get to come back and get a chance to say thank you to the people who made their journey possible. So this morning, I just want to say thank you. If it weren't for you, I would have had no path to walk on. But I also want to ask you to keep supporting, keep being that bridge. You truly do make a huge difference in the lives of all the students and the teachers that inspire them. I'm not sure where I'll end up, but I hope to make an impact like you one day. So thank you very much. It's been an honor to talk to you guys this morning. Thank you.